Hello and welcome to another edition of Only in Illinois, your weekly video recap from Reboot Illinois. I'm Madeleine Doubek here with Matt Dietrich, who's going to tell you about something special we have for you this week.
Right, well, we have a long-standing request in with House Speaker Michael Madigan, who is also chairman of the Illinois Democratic Party, to do an interview with him, possibly a video interview. We're still waiting to hear back on that. But we did feature Speaker Madigan quite a bit in last week's Only in Illinois. This week we had a chance to get to know the newly elected head of the Illinois Republican Party, Tim Schneider. Madeleine and I spent a few minutes with him in his office. It was a pretty interesting interview because if you go back a year ago today, the Republican Party was in a bit of a shambles. There was a big internal fight. The then chairman, Pat Brady, had caused a firestorm of controversy because he, on his own, expressed his own personal view in favor of gay marriage. That elicited a lot of negative response from within party leadership throughout the state. Pat Brady eventually stepped down, and then Jack Dorgan was elected and came in, but Jack Dorgan has stepped down so that he could join the campaign of Republican gubernatorial candidate Bruce Rauner. And with Jack Dorgan gone, now the party's leadership unanimously elected Tim Schneider, who is a Cook County Commissioner, to head the party. He takes over at what I would think is a pretty good time to take over this party. You've had the big flap over gay marriage is last year's news. The legislature came back in and passed gay marriage. Governor Quinn signed it into law. So that social issue is off the table. You have a candidate for governor who has literally an unlimited supply of money.
Right.
Fundraising is not going to be a problem there. And so this is a very interesting time. So we had a good chat with Tim, and here's what he had to say.
Your term, obviously the governor's race is the big race and the marquee race for this year, but how do you attack that and then build on the next 3 years that follow?
My job is to strengthen and build the Republican Party in Illinois, and in doing so my top priority is to get Bruce Rauner elected governor and Republicans up and down the ticket in November. I think we have a tremendous opportunity this year due to the failed policies and the broken promises of the current administration and the extension of the permanency of the income tax that Pat Quinn wants to extend when he told us 3.5 years ago that this would be temporary. So I think we have some great opportunities. And to get to your question of what do we do once we get Bruce elected governor, I think we work, as we will this year, on getting the House and Senate members elected from the Republican Party, look at key races and see if we can help those individuals out and get them elected here in November.
So if I'm a Republican in Marion, Illinois, in deep southern Illinois, and I've never heard of you before, never met you, what do you want to say to me to get me in your corner?
Well, I want to say to you that I'm going to come down and meet you and get to know you, because I'm going to be spending a lot of time in the next 4 to 8 weeks getting around the state of Illinois to make those individuals know that this isn't a state party chairman that's just concerned about Chicago and Cook County. I'm concerned about the entire state of Illinois and races up and down the ticket. So I want to get to know you, and I want to tell you what our message is as a party. Our message is lower taxes, less wasteful spending, a booming economy, quality education for our children, and term limits. And that's what we're going to tell the voters in November. That's a message we're going to spread that's going to cross party lines into Democrats and Independents and gather them into our party, and we're going to see great victory.
A year ago, all the talk about the Republican Party was the infighting, the polarization, fighting about social issues. You know, gay marriage is passed now. Do you see this, you're coming in as being a good time to take the reins of the party because those distractions are gone? And how do you heal all the wounds that were inflicted during that time?
Well, first, I think this is a really good time to be the state party chairman of Illinois. I see excitement in Republicans and excitement for change in Illinois, so I think that we're going to be able to deliver that this fall. But I think the things that we need to concentrate on and the Republicans are excited about is our core issues that contrast us from the Democrats right now with their failed policies, the $5.4 billion in unpaid bills, a governor who's under investigation. We have policies that are going to bring everybody under one big tent, and that's going to cross over, as I said, throughout all of Republicans. There is no Republican we don't want engaged in the process in November. We want Republicans and independents and Democrats to gravitate to the Republican Party because we are the party that's going to rebuild this state.
And talking about the 2014 gubernatorial election, I can't help but contrast it with 2010. You know, the common wisdom is that in 2010, Bill Brady lost by, less than 1%, 32,000 votes, because he was just too conservative for Chicago and Cook County. This time around, you've got a candidate who is much more moderate on a lot of those issues. Do you feel going in, does that bring a big strength this time around?
Well, let's tackle that on two directions. First of all, we have a governor who had only been, he was a little honeymoon period there. He'd only been in office for a couple of years, and I think people gave him the benefit of the doubt. Now that we find that 3.5 years later the policies are continued to fail, he was not under investigation at the time. He's under investigation by the federal government and also the Cook County State's Attorney, as I stated. And now we have a candidate in Bruce Rauner who's sending a message. If you talk to Bruce and you listen to what he has to say, he can reach out. People believe in what he has to say. He's an incorruptible candidate. He has no special interests. Springfield is run by special interests. Bruce's only special interests are the people of Illinois. And I think what everyone in the Republican Party is going to gravitate to is those core principles that I've spoken to: lower taxes, less wasteful spending, a booming economy, term limits with crosses clearly across partisan lines, and a great education for our children.
So it looks like the legislature is going to pass a budget that doesn't have a tax increase in it. Very few Democrats will have voted for a tax increase when you get to the bottom line. Did this all play out well into the Democrats' hands after all?
I think they were strategic in what they did. I think what they did was what they decided in this budget was to declare certain things. They were going to say they're underspending things. I think they did some smoke and mirror tactics to get this budget balanced in order to pass the permanency of the temporary income tax in January. And I believe one of the only ways we can stop that is to get Bruce Rauner elected governor and Republicans elected up and down the ticket here in November.
So is he going to have quite a mess on his hands if he actually wins, Bruce Rauner? And how does he? We're still waiting for his plan.
Yeah. Well, I think there's plenty of time between now and November for Bruce to unveil his plan, and I'm sure that will be rolled out in a timely fashion. So Bruce knew this wasn't going to be an easy job. So.
You've seen a preview. What's he going to do to bring jobs back to Illinois?
Well, I haven't seen any preview that he's rolled out at this point at all. I just know that Bruce and Diana will be traveling around the country on their own dime and traveling across the world on their own dime to encourage business and tell them there's a better economic climate here in Illinois. Bruce is for workers' comp reform, tort reform, things that we need to encourage businesses to come back into Illinois. And that's what he stands for. When he sends that message out to the people he's speaking to, I believe that he will develop a strategy to bring businesses back into Illinois.
Including union jobs.
We think there's a great opportunity in the Republican Party to engage union members into supporting our policies of lower taxes, better schools, and less spending in Illinois, and that will encourage a better business climate and bring those union jobs back to Illinois.
So that's it for this week's edition of Only in Illinois. Thanks for joining us, and please join us again next week.